Opening with the king's pawn controls the center and opens up the light-squared bishop and queen, often leading to sharp games. e5 is a common response that establishes a presence in the center, controls d4, and opens up the queen and dark-squared bishop. The Vienna opening starts with knight c3, which defends the e4 pawn and controls the d5 square. By delaying knight f3, white keeps the option of playing f2, f4. Knight f6 develops the knight, attacks the pawn on e4, and controls the d5 square. f4 takes space in the center, attacks the pawn on e5, and prepares to develop the knight behind the f-pawn. d5 takes space in the center, attacks the e4 pawn, and allow the light-squared bishop to develop. f takes e5 captures the e5 pawn and attacks the knight on f6. Knight takes e4 captures the pawn on e4 and attacks the knight on c3. Queen f3 develops the queen and attacks the knight. This allows the opponent to capture a knight and win material after the follow-up trades. Taking that knight will win material for you after the follow-up trades. Takes back. You captured back. This is the only move that works, developing the bishop and increasing influence in the center. Develops the knight and attacks the center. This overlooks a better way to block an attack on a vulnerable pawn. You offered your opponent an opportunity to exchange pieces of equal value. After all captures, this is an equal trade. You take back. This misses an opportunity to defend a bishop that was under attack. This is a fine move. This threatens to capture a pawn and win material after the follow-up trades. You stopped your opponent from being able to tactically win a pawn. This permits the opponent to kick a bishop. You kick the opposing bishop with a pawn, forcing it away. This attacks a rook, winning a tempo when it moves away. You gain time because your opponent must deal with your threat. This moves the bishop to safety. This lets your bishop step into the game. This threatens to kick a queen. Your pin helps to build pressure on your opponent's knight. This creates luft for the king, providing it an escape square. This is the only move that works, and you found it. That was an even swap of material. Recaptures. Good job, that's what I would have played too. Black activates the last piece, bringing all pieces into play. Your doubled rooks work great together. A very strong play. Your opponent will have to keep an eye on that passed pawn. This threatens to capture a pawn and win material after the follow-up trades. You prevented your opponent from being able to tactically win a pawn. This kicks a queen. This moves your queen to a safer square. A solid choice. That pawn chain will help strengthen your pawn structure. This removes a pawn that was threatening to win material. This move gives you a passed pawn, free to advance up the board. One of the best moves. Your piece makes sure the opponent's pawn cannot move. This threatens to capture a pawn and win material after the follow-up trades. That was a strong discovery, and you'll win material. This defends a pawn that was under attack and had no defenders. Nice find. You found the only move in this position. This moves your knight to a safer square. This steps away from the checking knight. Yes, this is the way. This evades the check from the knight. You take back the material at last. Takes back. Nice vision spotting and capturing that vulnerable rook. Recaptures. You captured that free pawn. This evades the check from the queen. This is the way to win material. This move puts the queen on a safer square. You exchange pieces of equal value. Takes back. Nice, definitely the right move. An active king is critical in the endgame, and getting it off of the back rank is the first step. That pawn was yours for the taking. This move puts the bishop on a safer square. Good job, that's what I would have played too. A very strong play. This is a good time for you to get out of trouble. A solid choice. You captured a free pawn. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. Your opponent has to watch that passed pawn. One of the best moves. Well done, an excellent move. This is the strongest option. You want a pawn for free. A very strong play. Your passed pawn advances to its goal. Very precise. Very good choice. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. This is a fine move. A solid choice. Passed pawns must be pushed. This moves the bishop to a more active square, making well done, an excellent move. One of the best moves. Your passed pawn is one step closer to promotion. The bishop now occupies a secure outpost. Your opponent has to watch that passed pawn. A very strong play. That pawn chain will help strengthen your pawn structure. This misses an opportunity to increase a bishop's scope by moving it to a better square. That pawn chain will help strengthen your pawn structure. This overlooks an opportunity to increase a bishop's scope by moving it to a better square. You're still on the road to checkmate. A solid choice. You're continuing down the road to checkmate. Right on target. Your move gets closer to checkmate. This is the strongest option. You continue the checkmate attack. This is the way to win a bishop. Very precise. Getting closer to the forced checkmate. You won a bishop for free. Congrats on your win.